President Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, predicts the American people will see the return of the 45th president in the White House. Speaking to Breitbart News on Saturday, Meadows stressed the American people aren't happy with how the Biden administration is running the government. He warned Americans are feeling the effects of Biden's policies in their wallets as inflation, gas prices and supply chain issues skyrocket. Meadows claimed the Biden administration believes they can just wait out the storm and hope the economy gets better. Hope is not a plan. They have to come up with an action, and what we're seeing is a previous administration under Donald J. Trump actually made decisions. He makes decisions, and what happened is, he would get people in and say, how do we fix this? We had some of the same issues in the economy and oil. And with the pandemic, the economy just went to almost zero, and yet a V-shaped recovery because President Trump making decisive action, said Meadows. The former congressman urged Republicans vying for public office to represent the American people and not get Potomac fever. Meadows added if the Biden administration continues to enact disastrous policies, President Trump will get his second term.
House Republicans weigh in on Democrats' push to scrap Hyde Amendment. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy met with leaders of the pro-life caucus and guests on the right to life to discuss the importance of standing against taxpayer-funded abortions. On Friday, the Republican leader met with Congress pro-life group members to defend the amendment that Joe Biden once supported and voted in favor of several times when he was a senator. McCarthy said he wants people to know exactly where their tax money is going, especially with Democrats pushing their trillion-dollar so-called Build Back Better bill, which aims to remove the Hyde Amendment altogether. But this is one fundamental point that America had come together on for the last 50 years, and without one debate, Democrats decided that every element of every bill, and especially in this one, and when you're talking trillions of dollars being spent, you're talking lives being lost, stressed McCarthy. The Republican pointed back to 1994 when Biden said the government should not tell those with strong convictions against abortion, such as you and I, that we must pay for them. However, Democrats are now doing everything in their power to get funding for abortions in any bill they can pass. Min. Rep. Michelle Fischbach stressed how important it is that Americans know what's in the reconciliation package so they can stand up against attacks on their freedoms. While most Democrat lawmakers have continued to push for the removal of the 40-year-old amendment, moderate Democrats like Sen. Joe Manchin have refused to support the reconciliation package unless the Hyde Amendment is included. GOP leaders stress this funding, paid for by American tax dollars, won't only fund abortions in the U.S., but could potentially fund them globally. Since 1976, there has been strong bipartisan agreement that the federal government has no place funding abortion. But now the law is under assault by the Democrat spending bill. McCarthy said he's appalled by their disregard for life and hopes more can see how important the Hyde Amendment truly is.
Missing 3-year-old, Major P. Harris, was discovered dead near a dumpster with a fatal gunshot wound to the head. Milwaukee's medical examiner's office ruled the boy's death a homicide on Friday, 2 weeks after he was reported missing on Oct. 9. The toddler's 25-year-old mother, Mallory Muenzenberger, was found with fatal gunshot wounds just a week before. The boy's distraught father, Carlton Harris, called for justice in his son's slaying. "My plea is not even to the community no more. My plea is to the world," said Harris. "I need justice for my son." Milwaukee officials confirmed there are still no arrests in the disappearance and murder of the toddler, and no new charges have been filed by the district attorney's office since his discovery. In regards to the child's mother, 6 people were arrested on behalf of her murder, where she was found in a Milwaukee backyard. The 20-year-old suspect in Muenzenberger's slaying died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound last Sunday as police arrived at his residence. Meanwhile, Harris said he's speaking with attorneys to potentially sue the Milwaukee Police Department over their handling of this investigation. He said he wants justice for everybody on the missing poster signs taking over Milwaukee streets, pleading something needs to be done.
Rep. Stefanik, our election system plunged into utter chaos in 2020. Republican New York Rep. Elise Stefanik warns against further election irregularities caused by Democrat policies. In an op-ed released on Breitbart News on Saturday, Stefanik warned voters in the Empire State against several provisions on their ballots this November. She claimed the measures aim to expand mail-in voting, give Democrat officials more power over a so-called independent redistricting commission, and register voters without time to vet their eligibility. Stefanik pointed to the 2020 election in New York's 22nd District, where fellow GOP Rep. Claudia Tenney was delayed her victory for nearly 4 months over ballot counting errors. She added ballots were lost in drawers, absentee ballots were inaccurately counted, and there was a breakdown in basic election integrity measures. This disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers who went without federal representation for far too long. Stefanik wrote.
In the meantime, the number 3 House Republican is urging voters to watch out for laws Democrats say are election reform measures. Border Patrol to fire up to 5 Kelvin agents over vaccine mandate. U.S. Border Patrol plans to fire agents who don't receive the COVID-19 vaccine. According to reports on Friday, the agency is looking to enforce Joe Biden's federal vaccine mandate by the end of November. They said those who refuse to do so without an approved religious or medical exemption could face action up to termination. Critics have said this would only further complicate the crisis at the southern border, where over 1.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed in 2021 alone. Arizona Rep. Andy Biggs said he believes as many as 5,000 agents could separate from Border Patrol over the issue. Think of how many people, like on the border, Border Patrol. How many of these Border Patrol agents are going to separate? I've been told it could be as many as 5,000, said Biggs. And if that many were to leave, as porous as our border already is, you truly have a national security crisis along your border. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the last date to receive the vaccine before being terminated is Nov. 8. DHS is actively working to ensure compliance with President Biden's executive order requiring that all federal employees be vaccinated against COVID-19 by November 22, except in limited circumstances where an exception is required by law, said CBP Media Relations Headquarters Branch Chief Justin Long.